Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending my session. And yes, it's been a while, Nigel. I think I was among one of the first people in Denmark doing FS Logics.
You certainly were the first, I think, actually.
Okay, so it's been a while, and a lot of stuff has happened since then. Streamlining software deployment with PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit and Intune, with a special guest star of Robopack. Has anyone heard of Robopack? One hand. Okay. Has anyone heard of PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit? Great. Let's see if I can get this to work. Otherwise, I'll do this. Or not. Oh, there's a delay. Let's see. There I am. My name is Kasper. I'm currently working as a cloud consultant for a small Danish consultant company called Apento, mainly on Danish customers. I have international customers as well from time to time. Working with Intune, Windows Management, Conditional Access, Windows 365, and obviously also application management. I've been working with Citrix for almost 15 years. So even though I'm no longer, not entirely in the EUC community, I'm still being asked questions from time to time. I can obviously only answer the legacy stuff in Citrix. I was recently awarded the Microsoft MVP in Windows 365 back in May. I'm blogging on my own website, and then I am a co-founder and co-leader of EUC Tech Denmark, which is this logo here. Remember it. We are having a full-day event sometime during next year. So this is real-life struggles. That's the AI-generated image. We all have to use these AI-generated images, right? So back in the day when I was doing Citrix, I came across customers where they said, we need this application installed. Well, where do you store the source files? Provide me with an exe file on MSI installer. Provide me with something that I can use to next finish something. I found out the same issue is with these modern management customers using Intune. Somehow they create these applications and then they forgot to store whatever source software we used for installing this. So unable to locate source files for existing applications is still an issue today, this year, for unknown reasons. And then if we actually manage to locate the source files for installing these applications, well, the install process or even uninstall process is probably not documented. So I could get a message saying, well, this and this guy who's no longer here installed it back in 2005. We don't know how to do it. And they certainly did not document the process. So I'm usually going to have to guess on how to install this. And then I miss a parameter, command line or something during the setup phase, and then the customer comes back to me and saying, well, you installed it wrong. We need this and this instead. And then I have to uninstall it and make sure that it cleaned up after itself and start all over. In Intune, we can have multiple deployment methods. And I'm still seeing this. We can have the line of business application where we are targeting an MSI installer, msi.exe/I, and then the MSI file, and then a QB and no restart, probably. We can have the good old Windows Win32 app where we package this into a Win file. Then we can have the Microsoft Store applications as well. And we can even have stuff wrapped in custom PowerShell scripts. Let's see if I can get this working. Stuff is happening. Look at this. This shouldn't be happening. So here we have an exe file, for instance. This is from the same customer setup. So we have an exe file. They basically just created an Intune Win file and then targeted the exe file and then /s for silent and probably X for uninstall. That works, obviously. Then we have a PowerShell script here, which is basically also installing an application and uninstalling an application. And seeing that it provides parameters, I would guess that this is a custom PowerShell script that someone made up, where I can use parameters like install and uninstall to determine what I'm going to do. And I skipped one. This one. Same customer is also using the plain old line of business stuff. So 3 different ways of providing application install and uninstall. It will work, but in case of troubleshooting, in my experience, we'll have to troubleshoot at least 2 or 3 different ways in this. One for the exe file. It usually doesn't provide an log file, so where do we go for that? The MSI file in this case is not going to provide an log file, but we can make it provide a log file. The PowerShell script, I have no idea what it's doing. Someone else made it. So I have to somehow get a hold of that script to see what's going on. Maybe a log file is being created, maybe it's not. So I have no way of troubleshooting this in a timely manner, at least. So we need something to provide us with a streamlined approach to doing this. So for us to be able to provide source files, we will have to create a local repository in a shared location. A shared location can be anything. It can be a file server, it can be a team site, a SharePoint online site. It really doesn't matter. As long as anyone who's doing application management or application packaging has an access to these source files, and they are stored in a proper manner with versioning and correct naming and so on, this will be fine. We can go back and see, or at least get an older version of an application if we need to. Make sure there is a well-defined process for how to manage applications. How do we install it? How do we update it? And how do we remove it? At least when I worked with Citrix, I didn't have to, at least many cases, I didn't have to worry about how to remove the application. I just created a new golden image and then pushed it out using PVS or MCS. Easy. Using Intune, I have to keep in mind that sometimes we have to remove applications. We have to update, in-place update existing applications. So this is something I have to document. How do I do this? Some applications do not support in-place upgrade. So I have to remove them and then install the new version. And I have to make sure that if the older version had to have a config file at a certain place, or it needed to persist a config file or log location, something like that, I had to build in some logic for that when I'm updating. And then we're going to use a deployment framework like PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit. PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit is I'm not going to say it's an industry standard, but it's close to. It's been around almost since I started doing Citrix. I've known of it for a very long time, and with it we are getting a toolbox of different kind of tools to install, uninstall, update applications within the same framework. So we're getting commands to do tedious stuff. So we don't have to invent our own PowerShell script to have a certain degree of logic if something needs to happen before something else. This is present in the framework. We have built-in logging of everything that's going on in this script and built-in logging for MSI files as well. So even if we forget to put in the -log parameter, it's there by default. So we actually have to go in and disable it if we don't want to, for it to be there. And the advantage of doing this is that we have we're going to deploy applications the same way each and every time. It doesn't matter if it's an exe file or an MSI file. Store apps, another story. Exe files and MSI files, that's usually the file types I'm sticking to with this. I'm going to provide a real-life demo with PowerShell in a Windows 365 machine. So I'm going to show how I'm usually doing this. So I'm almost always starting out with a template. And in my template, I'm going to pre-configure stuff regarding PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit. Where do I store the log file, for instance? If I'm doing Intune, I'm going to store the log file in a place where Intune is storing all its log files, or most of its log file. That's the customization I'll be doing. Maybe the customer would want to have their name in the application install process. I'm going to change that. Maybe they want a logo on the particular app that we're going to install. I'm going to put that in as well. So we can do a lot of stuff in this template. Then I'm going to create an application, Notepad++. It's a great demo application because it's so simple. If we have time, I'm going to show how we can extract logo files for use for applications in Company Portal if we're going to provide applications through Company Portal. My experience is that users like this familiar look, so if they're going to search for Google Chrome, they would really want Google Chrome to have a familiar logo. Otherwise, we'll just have some generic Microsoft logos. So let's see if we can do some demoing here. So this is my Windows 365. Are you able to see this? Yeah, great. Getting started with PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit, they have a website. And within this website, they have instructions on how to install. Either go to their GitHub site, or you can use this PowerShell module to create this template that we're going to look at. Each and every command being used in PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit, at least most of them has been documented here. So as you can see, there are a fair amount of different types of commands I haven't used. I think I've maybe used at least, or at most 10 of these commands at any time. So we can do a lot of different stuff with this. So in this case, I've created, just for demo purposes, I've created a folder called Software Repository. It's a bit small, isn't it? See if we can get a magnifier, and then yeah. So I created a repository with this PSADT template. And then I keep folders for build, production, and source. Where build is where I'm either creating new applications, or I'm going to copy an existing application from production to build if I'm going to update that application. And then source, well, yes, that's where I keep my source files. In this case, Notepad++ in different versions. Let's see, there it is. So I haven't done this demo 4 times. This is for demo purposes only. So right now we are on 886 of Notepad++. These are one of the applications that are being regularly updated. So what I'm usually doing is copying this, the PSADT template, and then I am going to rename it. And I had a typo. And I'm going to get the source file here. And put in this files folder. Everything that's in this files folder, the PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit will be able to pick up. So, and I promised you PowerShell. So here it is. As mentioned or in the name, this is PowerShell. And basically we have the task of putting in a small bit or a small amount of information. App vendor, app name, app version, app architecture, application language if you want to, and then we can put in author. That's usually what I do. These variables are used for creating log files. So it is a good idea to put it in here. It's not a requirement though. Like this. No, not like this. I'm going to skip, and then we have a pre-install here. As you might be able to see in my, where is it? There it is. So the script is split up in different areas or different parts. So we have pre-install, install, and uninstall. Oh, sorry, post-install. And same goes with uninstall. So if we need to do anything before installing Notepad, we can put it there. And if we need to do anything after installing, we can put it there. So I'm going to put in start ADT process. And file path is going to be the exe file in here. Stay with me. This is going to be excellent. Let's see if I'm able to remember this. So, let's hope I got it right. So now I'm calling the start ADT process, which is a built-in command or module, or sorry, function in this script. And then I'm calling the exe file, which I have in files, and then I'm putting in the -s for silent. I hope this is correct. Otherwise, my demo will fail. And that's the joys of doing live demo. Did I put it in here? I didn't. So it would be in here. Yes. Let's hope this works. So what should be happening in a moment, hopefully, if I didn't mess up? Then we should be able to see a small process popping up in a moment. There it is. So this is what the user will see, and I actually did mess it up, but you get the point here. I don't know what happened. I didn't save. So what should have been in here is the Notepad++ stuff, where it says PSADT. And this is a default prompt that we can suppress, of course, but this is for demo purposes, because I want to show that the user will be able to defer an application install if they are in the middle of something important. We can actually enable the user to defer an install. Obviously, we wouldn't want to do that on security software, but non-essential software, I don't know what that could be, Adobe Reader, I don't know. If they have a bunch of PDF files open, maybe they don't want Adobe Reader to be updated right now. We can have them or enable them to defer it. Otherwise, they can click install and then go ahead and install the application. Let's see what happens if I call it again. I would very much like for it to say Notepad++. I'm not that lucky. You might have seen there is an exe file in here, this invoke app deploy toolkit. This would be the exe file that we would use when deploying the software in Intune. So basically this one, and then with a parameter called uninstall, that would be the one to use when calling an application. Let's see if I can get this working at a later stage. So imagine doing this manual stuff for a lot of applications. Right now I'm doing this with Notepad. Just last week I had to do this manual stuff with 5 different applications. And even though I like working with PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit, when I reach a certain level of amount of applications, this gets a bit tedious because I have sometime I mistype stuff, the exe file, or I miss a parameter, or the customer didn't document the parameters correctly, so something is messed up during install, and then I have to go back and rewrite stuff and retest stuff. If we have a way of automating this process for something to build this PowerShell file for us, it would be awesome. And this is where we get Robopack. Robopack is a Danish company, and that's not why I've included it here at all. I've worked a bit with Patch My PC as well. They provide the same kind of services where we can get applications with automatic updates and maintenance. And Robopack is basically doing the same thing. They have an instant app repository with currently more than 30,000 applications, so I can basically search and click. But before we look at that, when you access a tenant, first off, you would go in the users and then decide on what type of application or what type of permission you would add in here. I have attached this to my Entra ID, and I used my Entra ID credentials to log into this. I can use local users instead if I prefer. I haven't come across any customers yet that didn't want to have it in Entra ID, but maybe I will at some point. And then I activated single sign-on, and then I attached Robopack to my Intune tenant as well. Because once I go in here and I want Firefox. So I click it in here and I click import. All the stuff that I manually put in the PowerShell file before you saw, it's already pre-populated here. And I even get a list of advanced options where I get description and a developer feature. I can wrap it in an installation script. That's PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit. I can also choose not to, if I prefer that. And I can import the application to my application repository. Right now, my application repository looks like this. And this is not, this is a standard scenario I see at customers. When they have started working and have been working with Robopack for a while, they will see a lot of different applications in here. Now I can do stuff with Firefox. I can edit the package and I can go in and provide certain install parameters. As you have seen, it has pre-detected basic standard parameters here. I can put in my own if I want to. It even detected how I'm going to uninstall this. So I'm not going to guess. I'm not going to sit down and read the documentation for Firefox, because who has the time for that? Robopack retrieves it for me. It even puts in, or even provides me with detection rule for Intune. I can modify those as well if I want to. I can put in more, or I can modify the existing one. And before putting it into Intune, if I can hit the button, I can do a small smoke screen test of the application where Robopack actually spins up a small virtual machine where I can test these install commands and uninstall commands and the detection rule. So even before I'm going to push this application into Intune, I can actually test whether it's going to install with the commands or the parameters I provided. This is saving me a lot of time in my setups, at least, because I'm not going to create a manual package and then upload it to Intune and then something fails. Even though I tested it on my own virtual machine, something fails in that step. I can have Robopack tested for me. And they can even, this is their instant apps. I can put in my own apps where they can test those as well. It completed. I have my application documentation, so I can see everything that went on during the install process. Everything. If you have red check marks besides these files, no one here, but if you get these small red check marks out here, these are files that are left behind during an uninstall process. So I can even detect applications that are not cleaning properly after themselves when getting removed. And for the compliance guys, I can download a PDF report of this particular application saying this is how I'm going to install it, this is how I'm going to uninstall it, these are the files, these are the detection methods. Everything is documented. Before pushing it to Intune, I would want a patch flow. A patch flow is where Robopack is maintaining the application for me. So whenever they are pushing a new application in their repository, they will automatically update it for me. So I'm basically just going in, selecting my tenant. This is multi-tenant aware, so if you have multiple tenants, you can put it in here. To my knowledge, there are no upper limits of the amount of tenants. That's at least what Robopack told me. So I'm going to put it as available and select all devices and put it in here. This is wave 1. I can put in multiple waves. So if I want to test this application on a certain group of devices or users before rolling it out in the entire state to all production devices, I can do that. And Robopack can manage it for me. I can go in and put success rates here, where I determine the level of success. So if this application has a success rate of 75% of the targeted devices in this case, where the install process went fine or successfully, it will move on to the next wave automatically. I can control the waves manually as well if I want to. When I click Save and Start, Robopack will push the application. It will package the application and push it to Intune. And it will assign the all devices group automatically. So hopefully in a few seconds, it's telling me it's inactive, active. So let's see if it's actually over here. Whoops. This is my own demo environment, so there shouldn't be any secrets in here. Let's see. It's not there yet. There it is. So this is the Firefox app I just created. So we can see the exe file here, and we should be able to see it says Robopack as the developer. Obviously, that can be changed if we want to. So this application is now maintained by Robopack. So if or when we get a new version of an application, we can go in and have a look at the current patch flow of Firefox. Right now, there should be only one version. I can spell. Yes, 14402. But let's have a look at another one. An application that receives frequent updates. No? No Google Chrome? There it is. In this case, I have chosen to have 4 versions back in time. the previous 3 versions are superseded. So this is again something that's being done in Intune. Whenever a new version is being released, the old version is automatically being superseded. So any devices that had the application before will receive the new version automatically. If they are still in the group, obviously that would provide Google Chrome. I can choose how many versions back I want. Some don't want any versions back. They only want the recent version or latest version. And some prefer to have at least one version, so they're able to roll back. And I can do the rollback as well. I can import a specific version and then select which version I want. And select the version. And once I select the version, the active version is automatically being disabled, and the superseded will be the active one. So this is the patch flow. So whenever I have a patch flow, I have an automatic update of an application. And I don't know if you can see it out here. There is a 100% here, meaning that 100% of the targeted devices have this specific version installed. So we can keep track of how many of our devices are on a specific version. If I am going to put in Robopack in an existing environment, I would very much like to get a hold of what kind of applications are currently available. Either on existing devices. We heard earlier that these developer guys, they have local admin privileges, so we have no idea of what they have installed. So if we have these kind of users, they can install pretty much anything. But the case would also be that if we have an Intune environment already in place, stuff would have rolled out through that platform. So when I'm putting Robopack in, it's basically unaware of what has been installed previously. I can use Robopack Radar to detect what's been installed on the current devices in Intune and what is found in Intune. And if it finds an application that it knows, like for instance, Microsoft Global Secure Access, it can detect which devices have this application installed and what version they are currently running. So you can see I have 2 different versions currently. So this is useful information because I know now that I have to do something or not with this specific application. If I want to create a patch flow, I can click this button. I have a patch flow already. But if I find an application where I don't have a patch flow, I can click the button. Robopack will create it for me automatically. I can assign a group and on to the next application. It's even easier for me if it's in the instant app repository. And lastly, groups. Patch groups, I can assign applications to a patch group. Usually applications, for instance, standard apps. Applications I want on each and every device, no matter what kind of role this specific device has. It might be a device for IT guys or developer guys or HR or marketing. It doesn't matter. Maybe we want to make sure that these devices always have an antivirus software or VPN or any kind of security software. That's the baseline, that's the foundation, that's the minimum amount of application we want these devices to have. We can put them in a standard apps group, or we can put the application in a standard apps group. And then I can assign a group for this patch group of applications. So every time I put in a new application in the patch group, it will automatically be assigned to the groups I have assigned to this patch group, meaning that it will be rolled out to each and every device being targeted by the standard app. In this case, for instance, I have a group called Lenovo devices. I have one device, but it sounds cooler to have devices because it sounds like I have multiple. So in this case, I'm just deploying specific Lenovo software to these devices. So it can be used also if you have multiple vendors in your estate, target different kinds of software to Dell, Lenovo, and use these groups to split this up. And again, we can assign it. In this case, I've used the all devices required. I could put in a Lenovo specific group, which is automatically picking up Lenovo devices. And Nigel just gave me the 5-minute mark, meaning I will just return back to this, and hopefully it will. So we stepped up our game with Robopack. 2 weeks ago, I had a customer come to me. We have 104 applications today. Some of them are in Intune, some of them are not. We put in Robopack. 52 of those applications, I could just point and click in Robopack, put in the repository, and when they are ready, I push the deploy button, and they are getting deployed automatically. So I only have to spend time on the remaining 52 applications where I'm going to put in manual packaging or semi-manual. I'm going to manually put them into Robopack and then use Robopack as a repository to deploy these applications as well. So the key takeaways: have a local repository, Robopack, something else, file server, SharePoint online team site. It doesn't really matter as long as you provide access to whoever needs access. Use a framework. PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit is free of charge. I think the intellectual property is owned by Patch My PC, but as of now, still they are going to provide it as a free service, and I hope they continue to do that. We can use this pop-up box you saw to provide different levels or kinds of information. We can put in information about this is a critical application, please close everything you have opened. And if the user don't, we can force it. And Robopacks make application management too easy. As a consultant, it's not a very good tool for me, at least, because there aren't many hours in it. But for the user, for my customers, this is invaluable. They will have automatic update of a lot of applications out of the box. And lastly, I didn't clear this with the organizers, so I hope it's okay. Too late, yeah. So this is the session QR code, and this QR code is for our LinkedIn. May next year, and I know there are some sponsors in here, so listen very carefully. May 7 next year, we have our full-day event in Denmark. The usual location, Hotel Legoland Conference. And yes, it is right beside Legoland. And there may or may not be discounts where you can access Legoland, or there may or may not be discounts where you can buy Lego in Lego House or in the Lego store. Then I haven't said too much. Last time, May this year, we had a visitor, Brian Madden, of all people. And we have a lot of other guys visiting us as well. And some of you may also know this handsome fella on our promo video. So go in and book a ticket. You will be able to book a stay as well on Hotel Legoland or the Castle Tower Hotel right beside.
We still need speakers.
We still need speakers, yes, sorry. We still need speakers. I have a link for that.
And sponsors?
And sponsors as well, everything. So if there are any sponsors in here that would like to go to Denmark, let me know. Our call for speakers is still open, so go into LinkedIn. We have a post in there where you can find all information for sponsors as well. I'm looking at you. I think that's it for me. Any questions? Do I have time for questions?
A minute.
A minute, okay. That's a no. One. Yes. At least to my knowledge, since they took it over, a lot of stuff has happened to PSADT. And hopefully it will continue to evolve. I think the version 4.1 was released December last year, and they are already at 4.18, I think. So they are fixing stuff and improving stuff, and that's good. If you like applications like I do. Thank you.
Thanks, Kasper.
Thank you.